7th, 1998, Al-Qaeda strikes 2 U.S. embassies in East Africa.
The principal suspect is Osama bin Laden.
Both NSA and CIA are monitoring the Al-Qaeda network, but neither gives any warning of the 2 precisely timed attacks.
Truth of the matter is, though, we had various reports from human intelligence sources within East Africa that there was an Al-Qaeda operation brewing somewhere on the east coast of Africa. We could never really pin it down.
The embassy attacks are technically on American soil, so the FBI is called in and finds out about the house in Yemen.
I first learned about the communication center in Yemen when I got to Nairobi after the embassy bombing there. That house was a focal point for operatives in the field to call in. That number would then contact bin Laden to pass along information and receive instruction back.
With only a handful of ways to pin down bin Laden's location, reconnaissance satellites, spies on the ground, and signals intelligence, NSA's expertise is becoming increasingly important.
If you've only got very few people who are hiding out in a cave somewhere, you're looking for a very small target and very few targets, as opposed to a big army division or a big missile complex. So imagery intelligence was of relatively less value. Human intelligence in an environment where a terrorist network is all relatives, blood relatives, it becomes tougher to get information in that kind of network. I think one interpretation was that NSA understood that they were becoming more important in the grand scheme of things in the war on terror.
An American ship is attacked in Yemen.
October 12, 2000, Al-Qaeda strikes again. This time it's an attack on the USS Cole, moored off the coast of Yemen.
Yemen's Port Authority had been penetrated. Immediately suspect Osama bin Laden.
Once again, the U.S. intelligence community fails to give a timely warning of the attack. Frank Blanco, NSA's executive director at the time, says NSA was still confronting terrorist tactics with Cold War technology.
You've got targets that are very mobile. They use a variety of communications, which are cell phones, laptops. NSA had to begin to think about what is the real technology that is necessary and how much is it going to cost and where do we get the money?
Money is a pressing issue. After the Cold War, Congress had reduced NSA's budget by 1/3, while criticizing it for violating privacy laws.
Concerned about the privacy rights of American citizens.
There is no legitimate excuse for that.
It is intolerable to think of the United States government, of Big Brother, or anybody else.
By law, NSA was prohibited from spying on American soil without approval from a special court, created by FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act.
When I interviewed General Michael Hayden, the head of the NSA, I was surprised when he told me that they were monitoring less than half a dozen people in the United States. He was very busy fighting Hollywood's image of NSA, like you saw in the movie Enemy of the State.
The National Security Agency conducts worldwide surveillance, fax, phones, satellite communication. The only ones in the country, including the military, could possibly have anything like this.
You hold the coordinates? All right, lab 39 degrees, 27 minutes.
To us in the intelligence community, movies like Enemy of the State are quite amusing because it made us look omniscient. We could collect anything we wanted, and it's just not that way. It's not that way at all. You may collect a lot of stuff, but you don't know what you've got. Really, the biggest technology challenge was how do you deal with volumes of information like that? And find dots, connect dots, understand dots. That's the problem.
In late December 1999, NSA finds one very important dot. It intercepts an alarming call to the house in Yemen, instructing 2 Al-Qaeda foot soldiers to fly to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for what sounds like a terrorist summit. The foot soldiers are Khalid al-Midar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. This is the phone call that sets in motion the 9/11 attacks.
After picking up this critical call, NSA passed on their first names to the FBI and the CIA, but not their last names. Nawaf's last name had been in NSA's database for over a year because of his association with bin Laden's operations center in Yemen. But apparently the NSA never looked it up.
The CIA does find Al-Midar's name in its database. They ask security agents to make a copy of his passport as he passes through a checkpoint in Dubai. When analysts at CIA headquarters see it, they are astonished to find a valid U.S. visa inside. Alex Station, the CIA's bin Laden unit, now has 2 FBI agents detailed to it, Doug Miller and Mark Rossini.
Once they arrived in Kuala Lumpur, of course, CIA requested the intelligence service over there in Malaysia to conduct surveillance of these subjects and find out as much as they can. They took photographs, followed them, and you read from that one of the individuals had a visa to come to the U.S.
Fearing an Al-Qaeda terrorist may be headed to the U.S., the agents are determined to tell the FBI, but a CIA official will not allow it.
I guess I was the more senior agent. So I went up to the individual that had the ticket on the Yemeni cell, the Yemeni operatives, and I said to her, I said, what's going on? You know, we got to tell the Bureau about this. These guys clearly are bad. One of them at least has a multiple entry visa to the U.S. We got to tell the FBI. And then she said to me, no, it's not the FBI's case, not the FBI's jurisdiction. So I go tell Doug, and I'm like, Doug, what can we do? If we had picked up the phone and called the Bureau, I would have been violating the law. I would have broken the law. I would have been removed from the building that day. I would have had my clearances suspended, and I would have been gone.
This is one of the most astonishing parts of the story. The CIA had FBI operatives working within their bin Laden unit. But when the FBI operatives found out that one and possibly 2 of the terrorists had visas to the United States, were heading for the United States, the CIA wouldn't let them tell their headquarters that they were coming. Only the FBI could have put out alerts to stop Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi if they tried to enter the United States.
January 15th, 2000, Los Angeles International Airport. United Airlines Flight 2 arrives from Bangkok, where the CIA lost al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi's trail. They pass through U.S. immigration undetected. Within 2 weeks, they move into the anonymity of a San Diego suburb.
The FBI put together its chronology as part of its investigation into the 9/11 attack. The timeline, the declassified copy, is the movements and the activities of the hijackers while they're in the U.S., hiding in plain sight.
They get driver's licenses in their own names. They use a local bank to pick up international wire transfers from a known Al-Qaeda finance chief. Their telephone number is even listed in the San Diego White Pages. Al-Hazmi, Nawaf M. 858-279-5919.
The CIA was forbidden from operating within the United States, and the FBI didn't know they were here. So the only way to track the terrorists was if NSA continued to monitor their conversations as they called back to the house in Yemen.
But 9 days after al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar arrive in California, the NSA has a catastrophic failure.
I remember getting a phone call on January 24th, 2000 that began with, "We have a problem." NSA systems had actually stopped working.
The most technologically advanced intelligence agency in the world, capable of monitoring millions of simultaneous conversations, is deaf.
NSA was brain dead. It took probably 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days to bring everything back up the way it was.
It is unclear whether during those 5 days NSA misses any calls from the hijackers in San Diego, but what is certain, as the FBI chronology spells out, is that the hijackers waste no time settling into their new neighborhood.
Here, as it says in the chronology, February 5th, 2000, Al-Midhar signed a lease to rent an apartment at 6401 Mount Otter Road in San Diego. February 25th, Al-Midhar purchased the Toyota Corolla in San Diego, California. February 28th, records at Progressive Insurance Company verify Al-Midhar's insurance policy number 604-725-921-0, Huggy Bear Insurance Corporation. March 20th, the San Diego telephone number associated with Nawaf al-Hazmi made a call which lasted 16 minutes to Yemen.
That is one of many calls made from San Diego to bin Laden's operations center, the house in Yemen that NSA has been monitoring for over 3 years. But NSA would not pass on that information to any other intelligence agency. Eleanor Hill investigated NSA's role in 9/11 for Congress.
We were very surprised to learn that, they had this information, and if there are contacts from known terrorists in the United States with terrorist facilities abroad, that's exactly the kind of information our intelligence community needs to have. They didn't have it.
You put the NSA intel and the FBI intel together, you have both sides of the conversation. So when they come in, we follow them, find out where they're going, listen to their home, listen to their conversations at their home, or cell phone, whatever, emails. The possibilities are endless once you're able to peer into someone's life.
Incredibly, the NSA never informed the FBI that these calls were coming from the United States, and we may never know why. No one from NSA will discuss it, and the 9/11 Commission never investigated it. They either didn't realize the two terrorists were calling from the United States, which is hard to believe because even I have caller ID which shows where a call is coming from, or what's more likely is that they ignored it because they would have had to hand the contacts over to the FBI.
April 12, 2000, almost 3 months after the hijackers arrive in the U.S., NSA Director Michael Hayden hints at another possible explanation for NSA's silence. Already warned by Congress to respect Americans' privacy rights, Hayden responds to the House Intelligence Committee with extreme caution.
Let me put a fine point on this. If, as we are speaking here this afternoon, Osama bin Laden is walking across the Peace Bridge from Niagara Falls, Ontario to Niagara Falls, New York, as he gets to the New York side, he is an American person, and my agency must respect his rights against unreasonable search and seizure as provided by the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution.
But General Hayden knew the law permitted the agency to eavesdrop on the terrorists without interruption if they entered the United States.
You could link back who they were, their connection to bin Laden, connection to the Yemeni house.